friends. Hi, Dan. Welcome to a new podcast, new golf podcast called Two Guys, Four Ball. Not Two Guys, Four Balls or Two Guys, One Cup. Oh, Dan, I did try and convince you on that name, and you did not like it at all.
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't like it. I mean, I was kind of down for it. We would just we'd get the wrong following for sure.
Yep. Anyways, Two Guys, Four Ball. Dan, as you know, there's about 1,000 golf pods out there, but luckily ours is different than others. Ours is not about the PGA Tour. It's not about the Euro Tour, the LPGA. It's not about DraftKings or daily fantasy. It's not about betting. It's not about any of that stuff. It is about us two, baby. And us two are two guys from Minnesota. We're golfers, of course. And we are trying to qualify for the U.S. Amateur Four Ball. Hence the name Two Guys, Four Ball. And I hate when people do this, but I'm going to do this. I've gotten a few messages from people after we posted our video, our little hype video we did. And they were asking, what's a four ball? And what's this event you're playing in? Can I play in it? All that stuff. So, Dan, you have some details on what it is, what we're doing, what we're trying to do. Let our new friends know what we're trying to do here.
Yep. So Josh kind of got me into taking lessons from Brent Snyder, which if you look at Josh's hat, that's his brand right there. He's a swing coach that's out of Hudson. He does little work in Minnesota as well. So he basically reached out to Josh, told him that me and him should try this four ball championship, try qualifying for it, which four ball is basically it's two guys against two guys, team of two, and it's your best score. So it's not, two-person scramble. It's not you always take the best shot, it's the best score. So you're playing your own ball through out the whole 18 holes. There's no mulligans, nothing like that. It's legit. It's some of the best amateurs in the country that are playing for it.
Have you, by the way, looked at some of the past champions of this thing?
Yes. Yeah. Kind of looked at. I have it right here. I looked at some of the facts, and there's one that stood out from me. When was this? I think from 2017 to now, 2017 to now, there's been some of the best actual top 400 in the world amateurs that have won this tournament.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough challenge. But it's something that I know me and Josh were willing to take on. We're willing to put all the hard work and everything that goes into it. How to get into it, it's basically, we're not sure if Minnesota is actually going to have one again this year from
a qualifier, right?
Yeah, the qualifier, the little sneak preview that they listed out on the USGA website. Right now, the closest is Iowa and Wisconsin, with a couple in Illinois as well. I don't know if Vernon or Aurora is closer in Illinois, but it looks like we're going to be traveling here right now. But I know, as you mentioned, they could just be trying to figure out a course to host it at like they did last year. So
right. In the past, last year they played it at Victory Links, which is in Blaine. That's also where they played the Monday qualifier for the 3M, the brand new 3M. So maybe they will end up going back there. They played it at Chaska Town Course too, which is a very nice course in Minnesota. So we'll see. Yeah, they haven't posted it yet. So maybe we're traveling, but hopefully we're not.
Yeah.
So what do we have to do to be able to qualify? There are some rules, not just every 12 handicap can join, right? There's a couple.
Yeah, from what I saw, you each member cannot exceed the 5.4 handicap index, which obviously For people that are wondering, you actually have to get a USGA approved handicap, log in with, either with them or a country club or your golf course around. I believe you have to have 5 scores or 10 scores to actually qualify for a handicap now.
I think it's 10. I don't know for sure, but
Is it 10? Okay. I can't remember if they made it a legit 10 or I knew in years past it's always been at least 5. So,
yeah.
but
Not
yeah,
handicap experts.
Yeah,
we just
we are not.
They tell us what the number is.
Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, from what I've seen, can't exceed more than 5.4 for a handicap, and entries accepted. It looks like there is 2,544 teams that are accepted for the qualifiers, and then from what I could see, it's a 5-day tournament. Really. Let me get to it here. Yeah, it's a 5-day tournament. First 2 days are going to be stroke play. Third day, if you qualify, it's a round of 32, which actually goes into match play. And then I believe it's match play the rest of the way, from what I can read on here. It says round of 16 qualify. Yeah, looks like match play for the rest of them. So.
Yep. And we do have some match play history as a team, actually.
I don't think we want to go into that one.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it wasn't too bad. We got knocked out on what, 16 or 17,
something like that. Yeah, and we haven't tried again since until now.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that was the first time we've ever really played together as a team, and now with how much and now with how much we've been working and practicing in domes and on courses and stuff, we pretty much know each other's games and how to get people out of slumps. So.
Right. Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, we know a lot about each other, as you just mentioned, but let's just talk about each other here. We'll kind of middle school style. We'll just go around the table and I'll talk about me a little bit. You talk about you a little bit, and then I got a question for you that I think we'll probably have different answers on, and so I'm interested to see where this debate goes. So first of all, Dan and I have known each other since we were kids. We grew up playing baseball and basketball together, and our friendship, I think you would agree, Dan, was pretty much built around sports.
Yeah.
Most of the time we're hanging out, we're doing something sports related. Whether it used to be baseball, used to be basketball, now it's golf. We played some softball together too. So that's a good foundation, I personally think, for our teaming up now, is we kind of understand how to be teammates with each other. We've been teammates together since we were small, all the way through. We played softball together just a couple years ago, so we have a good foundation there. I personally have been playing golf or trying to be competitive in golf for about 3 years. Before that, I played competitive basketball. I don't want to say at a high level, because if you pull my college stats, Dan, they're not very good. But I did play basketball in college.
It's a higher level.
Yeah, it's a higher level. I was gonna say played it at a high level, and then I was like, okay, well, somebody's gonna go pull my stats and see I averaged like 3 points a game at a Division III basketball school. So, anyways, I played basketball for most of my life. After college, then you did too, Dan. We tried to play competitive slow pitch softball, and it turns out that if your only skill is hitting home runs when the team doesn't have any left, you aren't going to be very good at the sport. So I had to get out of that, and then I fell into golf as my competitive sport then about 3 years ago. The first year and a half or so, I pretty much taught myself how to play golf. I was shooting in the 90s, happy to be shooting an 89 or an 88, and taught myself all the way down to about a 9 handicap or so. And then the real game changer happened, and you already mentioned Brent, our coach, mutual coach now. You just started working with him. I hired Brent. We work about once a month. It's actually a little more now in the winter. I hired him about a year and a half ago or so, and over the last summer, my handicap got down to about a 2. I think my low handicap on the app says 1.6 or so, but I'm about a 2 right now, and there are plans in the works to get it into the plus handicap, and I think we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, so I'm pretty new into the game of golf. You have much more history than me, but I've improved my game pretty quickly, and we're working pretty hard on getting the handicap to the plus area.
Yeah.
So um, that's enough about me. What about you? Where did you start? I know you have much more golf history than me. Where did you start? Where did you go? Where are you at now?
Yeah, I do, but I also took off a really long time as well. It's funny because the real reason why I actually started playing golf is because a couple buddies of mine, um, I think it was fifth grade ish, somewhere around there. They were in a Wednesday golf league, and that was one of the only days that I really didn't have, sports like you were talking about. I didn't have double practice or anything like that for school, and then um, our traveling baseball at the time. And so I was like, hey, can I join you guys? And that's when I started playing. And then after that, I kind of really just started watching Tiger every weekend. Like, I mean, obviously everybody says it, but it's really the reason. I mean, back then there's maybe 5 main guys that you would want to watch every weekend. It's not like now. And from there, it grew on me. I was always outside practicing chipping and pitching, and that turned into me getting a job at one of the country clubs. And then I would say my earliest competitive that I started playing, I believe, was 7th grade. My dad took me to a couple different tournaments where you could tell I was the outcast from all the other players because just like you, I didn't have a coach. I didn't go get lessons. I didn't do anything like that. It was all on me. It was all me training because I'm the only one in my family that played golf. And from there, it kind of leveled out a little bit as I got into high school because coming from a sports family, it was really baseball was our family sport, I guess. And after they heard that I quit freshman year, they weren't too happy, and neither were coaches there. But quit baseball as a freshman, played golf as a sophomore, played all through high school. Um, I guess one of the things that I actually really do regret was probably not playing as much senior year, just because I already signed a letter of intent to soccer. Um, as you mentioned, we all played different sports in high school. I think you were three sports. I was 3 sports. So golf really wasn't at that time the number one, just because I already signed a letter of intent. So that's where I was going. I didn't think I could really go somewhere else for golf, and um, yeah, I guess you could say I played at a higher level too. It was a small D2 college, but yeah, I took probably, I could say, 5 or 6 years off because I think you just got me back into golf again 3 years ago
Yep.
because we were playing softball all over, traveling all over. So,
Yep.
um, during high school, I would probably say I was close to being 0 for a handicap. Um, and then when you got me started again, I was probably easily a 7 or 8, and then got myself back down to, I think I'm around a 2 right now, but tournament wise, I would easily say I'm probably a 6 or 7, just because tournament play is, yeah, tournament play is just, it's a whole different atmosphere. A lot more pressure, especially getting off the tee. So that's about where I'm at right now.
Agreed. Here's a question for you. If you were to go back, and maybe you kind of mentioned this, or if you were to go back to high school and you said you signed your letter of intent for soccer, you had to sign one of those because you played Division II. They make you do that Division II. I played Division III basketball. I didn't have to sign anything, but it was pretty obvious that when we were going through high school that was my sport.
Mm.
Um, so I was playing basketball, you were playing soccer. If you could go back to high school and say, okay, soccer isn't my sport, I'm going to go for golf, would you go, knowing what you know now and how much you can improve and how much you can work on, and probably how much more time you have back then, would you, in high school, if you went back now, have picked golf over going to college for soccer?
Easily. Just because the college that I went to for soccer, um, I actually became really good friends with the golf coach as well. And just seeing the places that they traveled and the courses that they played, um, easy. I would have loved to go and play golf. I mean, nothing taken away from soccer and the places that it brought me and the people that, I met through it. But yeah, knowing that golf is pretty much a forever sport, I definitely kind of do regret not taking it further in high school and then playing in college, just because soccer, I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere after college. I didn't really plan on it. The body was not going to be able to handle everything that I went through from baseball to soccer. I mean, it was just, yeah, the body was not going to handle it much more.
That
So,
that's my thing. So I I've said this to people before. If if I could go back and I knew that I could be good at golf, I probably would have done it. And the reason for that is knowing what I know now as a 30-year-old and how my body feels. I tell people I'm 30 years old, but my body feels like I'm 50, and that's because of all the beating on the basketball court every single day, playing on the hardwood, but then a lot of practices and stuff were on like hard clay sometimes.
yeah,
So like I have had an ACL replaced. I've had a whole bunch of other injuries, and it's just playing the high contact sports like that just kind of. I'll get ripped now for saying high contact sport when basketball, but it's high contact. Um,
yeah.
so it takes a toll on your body. So yeah, if I knew I could have been like this good or better at golf back then, I tell people all the time I would have done that too.
Oh yeah. I kind of get worried because luckily I didn't have what you have. I didn't tear any ACLs or MCLs or anything like that. But I did have a lot of tears in different muscles of my legs, and knowing that, I have a bad feeling that it's gonna hurt me down the road when I'm
Yep.
turning like 40 or 50. So
Yep. So now knowing what we know about a little bit about us, our golf games, we're not like 10, 15, 20 handicaps. We're pretty good at golf. Um, and we're getting better. So here's a question for you, Dan.
yep.
Let's say next weekend you and I fly down to Florida and there's a qualifier for this tournament that we're trying to do. There's a qualifier next weekend. You and I fly down there, we try and qualify. Do you think at this point in time our games when we team up are good enough to be able to qualify? And why? And also let's keep in mind that we have to shoot as a team 64, 65, 66 to give us ourselves a chance, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's around 6, 8 under is what I saw for qualifiers.
Right. Yeah. So, do you think our games today are in a spot that we could qualify today? Go.
I would say we
I
would
think
definitely.
I think our
I think
answers
we
are
would
different.
compete. Yeah. No, I think we would definitely compete. I don't know if we're quite there yet. I'm just speaking on my behalf because I know I'm going through a swing change right now. Um, so because I haven't really played with it outside to the full extent that I am right now, is how I would say I would probably be hurting you more than helping you, unless if I went back to my old swing. Um, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I think we would compete. I don't know if we would qualify. And that's just being honest. Because I know, I mean, you're going through a couple of little things too. I know you just switched grips on putter, which now I think you've been going back and forth between either leaving it short or blowing past the hole. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a lot closer now. You're making better strokes at it. It's just, yeah. Distance control a little bit, but.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So I thought your answer was going to be different. You're in our conversations, usually you're usually more positive about our outlooks and tournaments and playing matches and stuff. So I thought for sure you were going to say there is a decent chance that we could do it. So
that's why I said we would compete.
Yeah, you did say a little positive. You did say we could compete. So I guess I'm on your side then. I think if we went down there, we would probably get wrecked. And the reason is, if you just look at all the, even just the past, there are like very good professional golfers that are in these things. And another reason is when you and I play golf, we don't play competitively, and we don't play competitively together too much. And so our games tail off a little bit when we play competitively because we don't do it too much. And honestly, I think both of us need to be able to relatively often be able to shoot somewhere in the 60s for us to team up and be able to shoot a 63, 64, 65, 66, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that right now we would probably get killed, but I think, and having worked, both of us now working with Brent, we have a good path to be able to get our games to the point within the next 6-7 months to be at a point where we can team up and do it. But I would say right now we would probably get killed.
Well, yeah, especially looking at these courses that they play, they're not like courses that we play. That's for sure.
No.
And that could be, I feel like that's definitely going to come into play as well. Because, I mean, what was this? There was one of the courses at Chambers Bay, which I believe was last year's championship course.
Mm-hmm.
There were, I think, 2 or 3 par 5s over 600 yards. You don't see that around here, even from the tips. I mean, unless if you're playing TPC, or I think there might be like 2 other courses that are even close to being distance-wise that long. But yeah, courses are going to be a lot more challenging as well. So
we do have a little bit of help in the course area, though. We don't play the long courses here. A lot of the courses in Minnesota and Wisconsin and around here are parkland courses. The fairways are pretty narrow pretty much everywhere you go. I would say 80-90% of the courses maybe even are pretty heavily tree lined.
Yeah.
And so that gives us a little bit of an advantage too, where we're trained to be a little more accurate, especially, well, trying to be a little bit more accurate off the tee, just so you're not, hitting it in the trees and then having to punch out and stuff. So that will probably help us if we're getting into harder courses, and a lot of the nicer courses too that you go play, they're not as narrow as the ones we play. So that will help us. But yeah, you're right. The length we hit the ball far, so it might not be as big of an issue, but we're just not used to playing those lengths. We're used to hitting a driver off the tee, and then half the time we're having some kind of wedge into the green.
Plus, I think the greens are definitely going to come in to factor too with these ones. A lot of the courses around here, they're smaller greens, so accuracy-wise, it's probably better for us. Just because a lot of the courses we play, they're tiny. Like the greens are tiny,
right?
But they're not really challenging unless if we went to like the Royal, where it's actually undulated. I mean, most of the greens that we play are sloping from one way to the other, and that's it. It's not really double breakers or triple breakers or anything like that.
Right. I agree. So you kind of mentioned, we were just kind of talking about a little bit on if we think we can do it or not. And we both kind of agree that we probably don't have a chance to qualify now. So what Dan, what are you doing? We're both working with Brent Snyder, obviously. We've mentioned that a bunch of times. We'll probably mention that 1,000 more times as we're going. But what are you specifically working on in your game, um, so you can get the handicap down from your at 2, get it down to a plus, and be able to shoot, relatively consistent in the 60s, the low 70s, stuff like that. What are you working on to get there? And also, what are the really strong parts of your game that you're just kind of hanging on to that you don't have to put as much work into because you're already good at it?
Yeah. So we'll start out with what I'm working on right now with Brent. The biggest thing is between 100 and 150 yards. That's one thing that I've noticed over the years where it's gone really downhill. In high school, it was probably one of my strongest suits because that's what I worked on all the time. I wasn't really at the range, so short game was my main thing. It still is 60 yards and in. Like I can hit. I mean, birdie the other day, I trounced you with anything under 67 yards.
Right.
I pretty much hit right on the number.
We before you keep going, we played indoor golf yesterday at a place called Birdie Golf in Woodbury, Minnesota. It's an indoor. They have 8 simulator bays in there, I think, and it's indoors. And so we played around yesterday. We kind of got screwed. The owner told us to play a course that was not fit for either of our games. It was
not even close.
It was short, and like out of bounds lines are like 40 yards apart, and we can't do that.
Yeah.
So afterwards we played a little wedge game, because then I'll talk about it too when I get going. But the short shots are an issue for me too. So we were playing a wedge game. At the end, we were just calling out numbers. Hit it 62 yards, hit it 53 yards, hit it 89 yards. And I mean, Dan is hitting these wedges. I'm calling 89. Dan's hitting it 88 or 80 or 90. And I'm getting up there and I'm calling 89 and I'm hitting it like 62. So yes, when you say you trounced me, that is an understatement. I was destroyed. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah. No, but what I'm really working on with Brent, besides the scoring range between 100 and 150, is I'm trying to really, on my backswing, I'm trying to lay off because I go way past parallel. And that could be an understatement. I'm talking, I'd probably put John Daly to shame how far past I go.
In fact, you have your own channel that your logo is literally your backswing because it's so unique to you. So
yeah,
that's so crazy.
The club head is pretty much matched up with my side. That's how far past parallel it is. But we're basically trying to eliminate that, just because I mean I could strike the ball. That was never an issue. It was just the inconsistency. I didn't know. I really didn't know how to fix it when I was on course. Because, the best example would have been when me, you, Lee, and James were at Edinburgh. Every single mid-iron in, it was going left or it was going right. If it went right, I try to correct what I thought was wrong, and it just end up going left. It was so hard to control that impact just because of how long the swing was. If the tempo wasn't correct, if the timing wasn't right, that club face was just going to be open or closed every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Long irons, not really too big of an issue. Those are just something that I've always been good at, just because in high school, I know you're going to make fun of me, but I never used driver in high school. I had I think it was 13 or 14 degree 2-iron that I used off the tee all the time. And we weren't playing long courses, so that was still getting me to anywhere between 150 and 170 every time. So
I was gonna rip you for for the no driver thing earlier.
Yeah,
I was
no,
gonna say you said you played high school golf, but did you really play high school golf if you didn't carry a driver? I would
I
say
mean, I carried it. I just never used it because my coach yelled at me.
I, I
I
would
mean,
say if you're not swinging a driver, maybe you don't even call that golf. We would have to call that a different name.
all right.
I feel like you have to swing a driver if you're gonna play actual golf. That's what it feels like.
I mean, I swung it
That might be controversial.
maybe once a time.
That might be a
I think I swung it once on a par 5.
Okay,
That was about it.
keep going.
But yeah, I think those are the main key points is just working on scoring from 100 to 150 and keeping the consistency with the club face. Because my takeaway, it's more, I mean, to me, it feels like I'm not even getting past my shoulder, but it's pretty much right on parallel or just above parallel. And another thing that he's trying to have me do is not really cupping the left wrist, but trying to get it a little bit more bowed, like not as much as DJ, but to an extent where it feels like that. Because then it's just pretty much you're going straight back and straight through. You don't really have to worry about where the club face is. It's just more on opening your hips and making sure that you're not swinging from out to in and just swiping across the ball.
Right.
You're making that one straight club pass. So he's trying to eliminate all inconsistencies and just trying to make it more simpler, more compact and stable for me, pretty much. So,
right.
But yeah, as far as the stuff that I bring to the team, it's definitely going to be short game and the long irons. I mean, anything, I would say 70 yards and in, I'm probably going to get it within 10 feet. That's my confidence. It's not going to happen every time, but that's my mindset. And a lot of times it's going to happen. And if I don't, I'm getting up and down 40, 50% of the time. I mean, Arcos is the stat tracker that we use. It's already thrown that at me. I think it was around just short of 50% this year. So, but yeah, and then driver's going to be another issue, but that's for another time.
Yeah. And we don't get to hit unless we're playing in like indoor golf somewhere. We don't really get to hit driver here much. You and I both hit in our garages a little bit, and my ceiling's too low. I think yours is too, to be able to swing driver. And when we're working with Brent, we don't really hit driver there either. Part of that is because he's a little nervous because of our ball speeds that we're gonna hit it through the net and put holes in the walls. Yeah. But the other part of that is we don't need to swing driver when we're working with him, because when we make improvements to our swings with the wedges and the irons, it's what we're working on to improve those swings is gonna just transition right into the driver swing anyway.
Yeah.
So we don't get to swing it too much there. So,
what are you working on, and what's going good, and what do you bring to the team?
So, what my biggest issue, and I guess it's not even something I can work on indoors right now because I just mentioned it, is keeping the ball on the planet. So, I miss my driver off the tee, big time left, big time right. And a lot of times I don't even know why it does that. And that kind of goes along with my biggest strength, or one of my biggest strengths is my length off the tee. I probably hit the ball, I'll probably carry it in normal play when I'm trying to shoot well. I'll probably carry it 295 or so, 290, 295.
I'd probably push you more towards 3.
Yeah, but by the time we start playing outside this year, and that's something I'm working on a little bit too. I shouldn't say started. I've been doing it for a while now. Mike Carroll, Fit for Golf. You can follow him on Twitter. I work out with his fitness programs, and they're basically meant to build you up to be able to hit the golf ball farther. So I do that to stay in shape, and also I'm long, but I still want to be longer. And then also just trying to keep the ball straighter off the tee. I just have to be able to do that. But the other big thing that my issue is with the short game that we kind of just talked about. Anything under 120 yards or so, probably something that isn't a full wedge. Um, I struggle with getting the distance nailed down. I gave the example earlier where we're trying to hit 85 yards and I'm hitting it 79. And it's just, and if it's not straight, then that's going to leave me like, 30 feet on the green, and I'm never going to make that because I'm not a great putter yet. So that's what with Brent, that's what we're working on most, is trying to dial the wedges and be able to control distance and along with that, making sure it goes straight too.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't have a problem with keeping the ball straight with anything other than driver or like a fairway would. I'd say that's, other than the power of my other strength, if I can get the ball, if I can be able to see the green from where my tee shot lands, I'm a pretty good ball striker. So
yeah,
I'll make good contact on every shot, and it usually goes pretty straight. I don't have a lot of curve to my ball. Right now it falls a little left, but you really can't tell in the course. So yeah, those are the two big things: keeping it straight off the tee and being able to hit a wedge from 65 yards. And also you mentioned too, I changed my putting grip a little bit. I've been working on being able to putt it a little better. That was a weakness. I feel like it's probably more of a strength now. We haven't really got it out on the course much, but we'll see with that.
Yeah, and especially with the amount of times now that me and you are pretty much at the dome at the same time, I'm starting to get used to your wedge as far as like pitching wise. So I can kind of tell you, because your mind is more like Bryson. So basically telling you numbers as far as like clockwise is really starting to help you figure out where you actually just need to feel swinging the club. Because I know when we were at the dome, I was telling you to stop it around 9-10 o'clock, and you started putting it within 3 feet every time. So there's just, the more that we play together, the more that we practice together, it's going to be a lot more simpler for both of our games, just because we're starting to figure out the easy fix for each other.
Yep.
And that's going to help us to qualify. So
I don't know if I want to admit this, but I a lot of my game is, I don't want to say built around, that might sound bad or weird, but I have built my game similarly to Bryson. And I mean, I'm not doing this huge bulk up that he did. I'm not trying to gain 40 pounds in a couple months and trying to smash it 400 off the tee. I want to hit it farther, but number one, I want to do that safely. I don't think he's doing that safely, but yeah. So I'm not doing the big bulk up thing, but I do follow a lot of the things he does. I have single length irons, which he does, and I think that's been a huge help for my game. I don't have to worry about where to put the ball and how to swing different with each club. They're just all the same length, so I just step up to the ball the same every time and swing it and hit it. I think that's a really big reason why I mentioned earlier that I'm a good ball striker. I think that's a big part of it. I don't have to think differently with different clubs. I just kind of stand up there and whack it and it goes straight. But another thing, and this might be one of the biggest helps that I'll have for us as a team, and I know Bryson does this, is my course management is, I think, extremely good. And it has some principles of, I don't know if you know who Scott Fawcett is, Dan. People that listen to this will probably know who he is. He has a program basically that he maps out every course on Google Earth, and you use your shot dispersions to show you where to aim on the course, and if you're hitting it at the green, where you want to miss. Obviously, you have a shot pattern with every iron and every wedge. So if there's a tucked pin, can you actually aim at the pin and be able to get the ball on the green? Stuff like that, and that's a big part of Bryson's game. He takes forever to do it. Obviously, I don't take that much time on course. Especially when we're just kind of playing for fun. I don't really do it, but I'll be able to help us big time around the courses, knowing both of our shot patterns, where we can aim, where we don't want to miss, all that types of stuff. So
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm actually happy for, that you're a numbers guy, because I mean I'm good at course management, but sometimes I let pride get too much of me at the same time. Because I mean, I know off the tee a lot of times I'm not going to take driver just because it just clearly it makes sense not to. And I mean, I'm long enough with a 2 iron or a 4 iron, and it's way more accurate. But then last year, I know it came down to a lot. I was going right at pins, and I know I shouldn't have, because there's a lot of times that you're not. I mean, there were tuck pins, they're close to the edge of the green where all of a sudden there's a runoff, and I would still go just because I would always trust my fade, because that's my normal shot shape. But last year, everything was just like I mentioned before. It was just one way or the other. It was left or right, and I was still being dumb going after every single pin. So
Yep.
that's one thing that I'm happy for, having you on my team. You'll tell me not to do stupid things like
I,
that.
I sure will. And you're not alone, by the way. Pretty most golfers that play are they're prideful like that. They're not, they don't look at a pin and go, well, I'm just going to aim 10 yards left of the pin, because if I do that, in your brain, if you're not aiming at the pin, especially like on a par 3, for example, you want to get a hole in one. If you're not aiming at the pin, your brain says, well, I'm not aiming at it, I'm not going to make it. But math says you have a certain shot pattern. You're not going to hit it where you're aiming every time. You're not going to hit it where you're aiming usually ever. So if you aim 10 yards left, what that does then is it saves you from missing in a bunker or in a bad place on the green. You'll have a higher chance of hitting on the green, but also if your shot pattern is still centered over the flag, like I just said, you're not going to hit it where you're aiming every time. So you have as good of a chance to make a hole in one if you're aiming 10 yards left of the flag as you do aiming directly at it. So,
yeah. Plus, I mean, you don't even know what the green's doing up there too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be sloping that way. It could be sloping away from it. You never know. I mean, that's why hole-in-ones, every pro will tell you, yeah, everybody's trying to make it, but it's more lucky than anything.
Right.
Every pro will tell you that.
I don't have anything else on the agenda for today. You got anything else? The first pod, I think, is a good idea to kind of get an intro for us, kind of what we're doing, where we're going, what we're working on. You give people kind of a sense of who we are, what we're doing, and then as we go forward, we can get into some more details, and maybe some people will have some things for us that they're interested in that we can cover, stuff like that. So that's what I have for this. Did you have anything else you wanted to go over, or should we be done?
The only other thing that I think should be what we should do is talk about goals for this year, like our personal goals, as far as I guess mainly just for our game. And I guess if you want to do strength and conditioning or workout goals too, that's fine. But I think mainly just our goals for our game, on course and off course, that kind of stuff. So
let's do it. What are your goals for this year?
All right.
Other than qualifying for the U.S. Amateur Floorball.
Yeah.
What do you got?
This year, it's a lot. There's no yardage. Like, there's no, I want to hit a certain distance, nothing like that this year. It's all percentage wise, it's all scoring wise. So one of my main goals this year is I want to be 65% greens in regulation. Last year, I was just shy of hitting 60. So I think with the new swing that's Brent's having me work on, I think I can get close. I think my second one would definitely be putting wise. I want no 3 putts inside 30 feet. And I know you, as a mathematician or a math guy, the stats might not be in favor of that, but in my mindset, you should be able to 2-putt inside 30. Pretty much, I would say probably 75% of the time.
Yeah, I don't know the exact math, but I will. Once we're done here, I'm gonna go find out. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, I know you.
Shout out Lou
But
Stagner on Twitter. I'm gonna go right to his Twitter and find out. So.
but yeah, that will be my second goal. And then I think third one would be scoring wise. I want to increase my birdie percentage by at least, I want to say at least one or two more birdies around. I think right now I'm averaging 2 to 3. So if I could get to that 4 or 5 range, if I do have, a blow up hole, which might happen every now and then where you get a double or triple, it doesn't mean that's the end of your round.
Mm-hmm.
It means that, I'll be able to come back with it. It might be a little harder, but having that average around 4 or 5 means that you can at least save a round.
That will be good for our team as well. Obviously, the way the 4 ball or the best ball scoring works is it takes your team's lowest score. So if you get a birdie on a hole, I get a par, our team score is a birdie. So doing what you can and what I can for our team to get more birdies is going to be important for our scoring. So you have that blow up hole that you just mentioned, then I'm still out there, and if I can score, I can still get our team a birdie, and then the blow up hole doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good skill or a good thing to figure out for your own game, but that's going to be great for our team game as well.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And then I think the last goal that I have is to get swing speed up from, I think I'm around 116, 117-ish average wise.
Is that cruising speed or is that max speed?
I think that's around 90. I would say about 90, 95%.
So that's on course speed, basically.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to get that to, on average, around, I would say 121, 122, because my overall goal is not swinging more than 90% on course, because I believe you'll be way more consistent. You're going to be way more stable. There's going to be less shot dispersions from you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll know that. I think that would be the main thing. Yeah, because it'll be effortless at that time, and I won't use or lose yardage.
Right.
Like I am right now. Right now, I think I'm losing maybe, I would say 5 to 10 yards with the new swing, just because I think I'm around probably swinging 80%. I'm starting to wrap it up a little bit here, and that's the whole swing training that I'm doing now. Is just basically so I don't have to swing as hard on course.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of amateurs lose a lot of strokes, is they think that they need to swing hard instead of just clubbing up 1 or 2 clubs and swing easy. So
swing
I think
hard
that'll be
if you
huge.
hit it, Dan.
I know. That's just for driver.
Yep. So my goals, you have a lot of stat-based goals, which is kind of funny because you try to not be a stat guy. You try and be like more of a field guy, and I'm definitely a numbers stat guy. I don't think I have any stat goals specifically. Pretty much all my stats are, whatever a scratch would be. I'm just a little worse in pretty much all of them except for driving distance. So greens regulation, strokes gained approach, putting around the green. I'm just a little bit worse in everything except for driving. So my goal is to be better at all of those, I guess. And I guess I kind of already mentioned some of them. Hitting it, I have to hit it straighter off the tee, and straighter off the tee meaning I can't hit it out of bounds. So I hit it out of bounds a lot, indoor golf, outdoor golf, whatever. So I guess statistically, if I can keep that to hopefully less than one around. I mean, right now it's probably more than one around.
How many shots would you say you're losing? Like 5 or 6 around just by off the tee?
Accuracy off the tee, if I looked at Arcos, I bet it would say I'm losing two to 3 strokes around just because of penalties.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, my goal is to keep the ball off the tee in bounds. But then I guess I just mentioned my other only goal is to improve everything else enough so that one, you and I can figure out how to qualify for this thing and maybe even and make a run at it maybe. But you and I also play competitively. You didn't do as much last year. I assume you probably will this year, competitively on our own individually. And there's some qualifiers here for some individual tournaments. And there's obviously the individual tours that go around the state and Wisconsin and stuff that I play in. I don't know if you're going to or not, but I have yet to be competitive in any of them that I've played in the past. So my goal is to get my game in a spot where I can be competitive in.
I didn't play as many tournaments last year as I did the year before. I think last year was more team tournaments, and then I think I played maybe 3 club championship ones just because of the PCC. A lot of them they open it up to pretty much everybody on that one. So, but it was more towards later end of the season, and I did quite decent, way better than what I did the year before on the Golf Channel. So,
right,
things are starting to pick up here.
Right. Okay. You got anything else, or will you be done? I don't even know how long we've been recording. Should we be done?
Yeah, we can. It doesn't even tell me how long.
I can't see either. Well, we're not going to do a podcast every week. We've talked about doing it like every other couple weeks, but we're not going to have a set schedule. It's not going to be every Monday or every other Monday. We're working on our games and stuff, and things will come up, and we play a lot together. We'll be playing indoors. When we get outdoors, we'll be playing a lot together outdoors. Mm-hmm. So when we feel like we have enough to talk about for 30, 40, 50 minutes or so, we'll hop on again. So, we'll probably hop on again in a couple weeks and talk about how progress has been going. We're both going to be seeing Brent in the next week or two, I think. So we'll probably have some more things to work on from there. So we'll see. We'll mention where to find us in a second, but follow our social media accounts, and we'll keep you updated on when the next one's coming. And if you have questions about us, what we're doing, if you got things that you want to know about us, let us know. We can either answer it or we can take it as a discussion topic for the next time. We're happy to talk about golf. We both love golf a lot, and we talk about it all the time and think and dream about it a lot, probably. So feel free to reach out, and we'll talk to you about it. Yeah, so you can find me, speaking of social media, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at JishSwish, JISHSWISH. I have an Instagram. I don't really use it, so no point in following me there. Just follow me on Twitter. That I put all my golf content and everything out there. That's good enough for me. Dan, you're on like every social media site that is available. Tell us what your handles are, where we can find you, what you got.
Yep, I am pretty much everywhere now. It's one easy title, so it's DRAS Golf. So that's at pretty much everything: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everything that you can find me at. So.
Yep, and you do some sweet trick shots. Those are fun. And everybody's on TikTok now, so go follow them there. And then we also obviously have our own Two Guys Four Ball accounts. We have Twitter, we have Instagram, and this will be posted on our YouTube. So I think that's it. Unless you want to say anything else, Dan, let's play some tunes and be done.
We can play some tunes to be done. I got nothing else, so.